The Hidden Power of Self-Control, Stoicism. Part 1. The Invisible Battle. There is a power that can change your life forever. It cannot be bought. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be inherited. Most people spend their entire lives searching for it in money, fame, relationships, and success. Yet they overlook the one place where it has always existed: inside themselves. The Stoic philosophers believe that the greatest power a person can possess is self-control. Not the ability to control other people. Not the ability to control every situation. But the ability to control your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. This is the story of Adrian. Adrian grew up believing that strength meant always winning. If someone insulted him, he insulted them back. If someone challenged him, he fought harder. If life became difficult, he became angry. People admired his confidence. But inside, Adrian was exhausted. His emotions changed every day. One compliment made him happy. One criticism ruined his entire week. One failure made him question his worth. Although he looked strong, he was secretly controlled by everything around him. One evening, after losing an important opportunity because of his temper, Adrian walked alone into the hills. He needed silence. As the sun began to set, he noticed an old man sitting beneath a large olive tree. The old man was calmly reading a worn book. The wind grew stronger. Dust filled the air. Yet the old man never seemed disturbed. Adrian asked, "How can you remain so peaceful when everything around you is changing?" The old man smiled. "Because I learned that peace does not come from controlling the world. It comes from controlling myself." Adrian sat beside him. "I have tried to become stronger all my life. But I still lose control." The old man closed his book. "My name is Elias. And today you will learn where real strength begins." He picked up a burning piece of wood from a nearby fire. He held it carefully with a pair of metal tongs. Then he asked, "What happens if someone grabs this with bare hands?" "They get burned," Adrian answered. Elias nodded. "Anger is the same. When you hold on to it, you burn yourself before anyone else." Adrian remained silent. For the first time, he realized his greatest enemy was not another person. It was his inability to control himself. The next morning, Adrian returned. "I want to learn." Elias smiled. "Then your training begins. Step 1. Observe before you react." Elias gave Adrian a simple challenge. "For the next 7 days, do not react immediately to anything. If someone praises you, pause. If someone criticizes you, pause. If something goes wrong, pause. Simply observe." The first day was difficult. A merchant insulted Adrian in the marketplace. His fists tightened. His heart raced. Every part of him wanted to argue. But he remembered Elias's words. He remained silent. He walked away. Later that evening, he realized something surprising. The insult had lasted only a few seconds. His anger would have lasted the entire day. By refusing to react immediately, he protected his peace. Elias smiled when Adrian told him, "The strongest person is not the quickest to react. The strongest person chooses the right response." Step 2. Master your desires. The following week, Elias brought Adrian to a beautiful garden. On a table sat delicious food and expensive gifts. "You may take them," Elias said. "But only after 1 hour." Adrian laughed. "That's easy." The first 10 minutes were simple. The next 20 became difficult. His mind kept whispering, "Take it now. No one will know. You deserve it." Adrian finally understood. The greatest battle was not against the food. It was against his own impulses. When the hour ended, Elias smiled. "Today you discovered something. Self-control grows stronger every time you delay an unhealthy desire." Step 3. Guard your thoughts. One evening, Adrian confessed, "My thoughts never stop. I worry constantly. I imagine problems before they happen." Elias handed him a journal. "Every night, write down the thoughts that troubled you. Then ask yourself 2 questions. Is this thought true? Is this thought useful? After several weeks, Adrian noticed a pattern. Most of his worries never happened. Many of his fears were only stories created by his own mind. Elias explained. The mind can become your greatest servant, or your greatest prison. The choice depends on which thoughts you feed. Months passed. People noticed a remarkable change in Adrian. He still worked hard. He still faced challenges. But he was no longer controlled by every emotion. When people criticized him, he listened calmly. When problems appeared, he searched for solutions instead of excuses. When success arrived, he remained humble. One evening, Adrian looked at Elias and asked, Master, what is the hidden power of self-control? Elias smiled and replied, It gives you something the world cannot easily take away. Freedom. Because the person who controls himself cannot easily be controlled by fear, anger, temptation, or the opinions of others. And that is the beginning of true Stoic power. But Adrian's greatest test was still ahead. The lessons he had learned would soon be tested by betrayal, failure, and loss. Only then would he discover whether his self-control had become part of his character, or whether it was only a habit waiting to break. The hidden power of self-control, Stoicism. Part 2, the test that revealed his character. Several months had passed since Adrian began training under Elias. The angry young man who once reacted to every insult had changed. His mind had become calmer. His emotions no longer controlled every decision. Each morning before sunrise, Adrian followed the same routine. He sat in silence. He focused on his breathing. He reflected on his thoughts. He reminded himself of one simple truth. I cannot control everything that happens to me, but I can always control how I respond. Those words became the foundation of his life. But Elias often warned him. Training prepares you for the battle. It is the battle that reveals whether your training is real. Adrian nodded. He believed he was ready. Life soon proved otherwise. The betrayal. One afternoon, Adrian received shocking news. His closest friend, Victor, had secretly accepted money to take over a business Adrian had spent years building. Victor had promised loyalty. Instead, he chose personal gain. When Adrian heard the truth, anger rose inside him like a fire. His heart pounded. His hands shook. His mind screamed. Make him pay. Destroy his reputation. Show everyone what he has done. For several minutes, Adrian walked alone without speaking. Every step felt heavier than the last. Finally, he climbed the hill to visit Elias. The old teacher listened quietly. When Adrian finished speaking, Elias picked up a mirror and placed it in front of him. What do you see? Myself. Elias nodded. If you allow another person's actions to control your character, then who is really in control? Adrian looked down. He understood. Victor had betrayed him. But Adrian still had a choice. Would he become bitter? Or would he remain faithful to his principles? That night, Adrian made his decision. He would not seek revenge. He would protect his peace instead. Rule 4. Your character is your greatest possession. The following morning, Elias handed Adrian a smooth stone. Carry this with you for 1 week. Adrian placed it in his pocket. Every time he felt anger, he touched the stone. It reminded him that his character was more valuable than his emotions. At the end of the week, Elias asked, What did you learn? Adrian smiled. I cannot always control what people do, but I can always choose who I become. Elias nodded proudly. Exactly. The world may take your money. It may take your position. It may even take your opportunities. But never willingly surrender your character. The marketplace lesson. Several days later, Elias took Adrian to the busiest marketplace. Merchants shouted. Crowds pushed through the narrow streets. The noise was overwhelming. Suddenly, a stranger deliberately bumped into Adrian and shouted, Watch where you're going! People stopped to watch. Months earlier, Adrian would have argued immediately. This time he paused. He took a slow breath. He smiled politely and continued walking. The stranger looked confused. The crowd slowly returned to their business. Elias turned to Adrian. "Who won that battle?" Adrian thought carefully before answering. "I did. Because I refused to lose control." Elias smiled. "That is the hidden power of self-control." Rule 5: Discipline is stronger than motivation. One cold morning, Elias woke Adrian before sunrise. "It is time to train." Adrian looked outside. Heavy rain covered the ground. "I'm tired," he admitted. Elias asked, "Will your goals wait until you feel motivated?" Adrian remained silent. Together they trained in the rain. When they finished, Elias said, "Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. The strongest people are not those who always feel inspired. They are the people who continue even when they don't." Adrian realized that every disciplined action strengthened his mind. Every excuse he defeated made him more resilient. A new beginning. Months passed. Adrian rebuilt his business with honesty and patience. People noticed his calm leadership. Customers trusted him. New opportunities appeared. One evening, a young man approached him. "How did you become so peaceful?" Adrian smiled. "I stopped trying to control everyone else. I started controlling myself." The young man asked. "Was it difficult?" Adrian laughed softly. "It still is. But every day I practice. Every challenge is another opportunity to become stronger." As the sun set behind the mountains, Adrian looked toward Elias. The old teacher nodded. "You have learned much. But one final storm is coming. It will test your courage, your discipline, and your self-control like never before." Adrian took a deep breath. This time, he did not fear the storm. He welcomed it. Because he finally understood that storms do not exist only to break us. Sometimes they arrive to reveal the strength we never knew we possessed. The hidden power of self-control, Stoicism. Part 3: The storm that could not break him. Months turned into years. Adrian continued practicing the lessons Elias had taught him. Every morning before the sun rose, he sat in silence. He watched his thoughts instead of becoming trapped by them. He trained his body with discipline. He trained his mind with wisdom. He repeated the same sentence every day. "My greatest victory is the victory over myself." Those words became the foundation of his life. People noticed something different about Adrian. When others became angry, he remained calm. When others panicked, he stayed focused. When others searched for excuses, he searched for solutions. But Elias warned him. "The greatest test does not arrive when you expect it. It arrives when you believe you are finally comfortable." Adrian listened carefully. He knew another lesson was coming. The day everything changed. One cold morning, Adrian received terrible news. A powerful storm had swept through the valley during the night. The workshop where many families earned their living had collapsed. Several people had lost their jobs. The entire town was filled with fear. Some blamed the weather. Some blamed the leaders. Others blamed one another. Everywhere Adrian looked, people were reacting with anger instead of wisdom. For a brief moment, he felt the same emotions. Fear. Frustration. Disappointment. But before speaking, he remembered Elias's first lesson. Pause before you react. He closed his eyes. He took one slow breath. Then another. His mind became clear. He asked himself, "What can I control?" He could not change the storm. He could not change the damage. But he could decide what kind of man he would be in this moment. Rule 6: Calm is contagious. Adrian gathered the workers together. Many expected him to shout. Others expected him to complain. Instead, he spoke with quiet confidence. "My friends, the storm has already passed. We cannot change yesterday. But together we can build tomorrow." His calm voice changed the atmosphere. People stopped arguing. They began listening. Instead of wasting time blaming one another, they started cleaning the damaged buildings. Neighbors helped neighbors. Families worked together. What looked impossible slowly became possible. That evening, Elias smiled. You have discovered another Stoic secret. What is it? Adrian asked. A calm person gives courage to everyone around them. The stranger's challenge. Several weeks later, Adrian was walking through the marketplace. A wealthy merchant recognized him. I've heard people call you wise, the merchant said with a mocking smile. Let's see how wise you really are. The merchant insulted Adrian loudly. The crowd gathered. Everyone waited for an argument. Adrian looked calmly at the man. Then he smiled and replied, If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to accept it, who keeps the gift? The merchant frowned. I do. Adrian nodded. The same is true for anger. If I refuse to accept your insults, they remain with you. The marketplace became silent. The merchant had nothing more to say. As Adrian walked away, Elias, who had quietly watched from a distance, caught up with him. You have learned that silence is often stronger than shouting. Rule 7: Build strength in silence. That evening, Elias led Adrian to the top of a mountain. The wind was strong. The sky was filled with stars. For several minutes neither of them spoke. Finally Elias asked, What do you hear? The wind. The birds. My own breathing. Elias smiled. Exactly. When your life becomes noisy, return to silence. Silence allows wisdom to speak. From that day forward, Adrian made time for silence every day. Not because he wanted to escape life, but because silence prepared him to face life with a clear mind. The hidden enemy. Months later, Adrian's business became successful again. People praised him. His reputation spread to nearby towns. They called him a great leader. Some even called him a genius. For a moment, Adrian enjoyed the attention. Then he remembered another lesson. Pride is the hidden enemy of self-control. He visited Elias. I am afraid success may change me. Elias nodded. It can. If failure teaches humility, success tests it. So what should I do? Adrian asked. Elias answered. Keep learning. Keep serving others. And remember that no one is ever finished growing. Adrian followed those words for the rest of his life. The lesson every Stoic learns. As the years passed, Adrian understood something many people never discover. Life will always bring pressure. There will always be critics. There will always be setbacks. There will always be uncertainty. But the person who controls himself possesses a strength that no storm can steal. Because true power is not forcing others to obey you. True power is refusing to become a slave to your own anger, fear, pride, or impatience. That is the hidden power of self-control. It cannot be seen, but it can be felt. It is built every time you choose patience over panic. Every time you choose wisdom over emotion. Every time you choose discipline over comfort. And every time you choose peace over revenge. Adrian looked toward the sunrise and smiled. The storms of life had not disappeared. But they no longer frightened him. Because he finally understood the greatest Stoic truth. The strongest person is not the one who conquers the world. The strongest person is the one who conquers himself. The hidden power of self-control, Stoicism. Part 4. The final victory within. Years passed after Adrian learned the first lessons of Stoicism from Elias. The young man who once reacted with anger had become someone known for his patience. The man who once feared failure now welcomed challenges as opportunities to grow. People traveled from distant towns to ask him one question. How do you remain calm when life becomes difficult? Adrian always smiled before answering. I am not calm because life is easy. I am calm because I have trained my mind every day. But life had one final lesson waiting for him. It would become the greatest test of his self-control. The arrival of the stranger. One autumn evening, a traveler arrived in Adrian's village. His name was Marcus. He was intelligent. He spoke confidently. Many people admired him. Within a few weeks, Marcus became jealous of Adrian's reputation. Instead of learning from him, Marcus tried to destroy it. He spread false stories. He questioned Adrian's character. He told people that Adrian's wisdom was only an act. Soon, rumors spread through the village. Friends began asking difficult questions. Some people stopped trusting Adrian. Others turned away. For a moment, Adrian felt pain. His heart became heavy. He wanted to defend himself. He wanted everyone to know the truth. That evening, he climbed the mountain to visit Elias. The old teacher was sitting beside the fire, just as he had done many years before. Adrian explained everything. When he finished, Elias placed another piece of wood into the fire. Then he asked, "What happens when you throw dry wood into a fire?" "The fire grows stronger," Adrian answered. Elias nodded. "And what happens when you stop feeding it?" "It slowly dies." Elias looked directly into Adrian's eyes. "Arguments are often the same. Not every accusation deserves your attention. Sometimes silence is stronger than explanation." Adrian understood. If he chased every rumor, he would spend his life fighting distractions instead of living with purpose. Rule 8: Protect your inner peace. The next morning, Adrian made a decision. He would continue treating people with honesty. He would continue working with integrity. He would allow his actions, not his anger, to speak for him. Weeks passed. The truth slowly became clear. People noticed that Marcus's words did not match Adrian's actions. One by one, the rumors disappeared. Marcus eventually admitted that jealousy had influenced him. Adrian accepted the apology. Not because he had forgotten the hurt, but because he refused to carry bitterness in his heart. That day he learned another Stoic lesson. Forgiveness protects the person who forgives. The mountain lesson. A few days later, Elias invited Adrian on one last journey. They climbed the tallest mountain in the region. The path was steep. The wind was cold. The climb was exhausting. When they finally reached the summit, Adrian looked across the valley. The villages looked small. The roads seemed peaceful. The problems that once felt enormous now appeared tiny from above. Elias smiled. "What do you notice?" Adrian answered. "My perspective has changed." Elias nodded. "Exactly. When your perspective grows, your problems often become smaller. The Stoics do not ignore problems. They learn to see them clearly. Rule 9: Your character is your greatest treasure. Before they left the mountain, Elias handed Adrian a small wooden box. Inside was a simple bronze coin. Nothing expensive. Nothing impressive. Adrian looked confused. Elias explained. "This coin is a reminder. You may lose money. You may lose success. You may lose comfort. But never lose your character. Everything else can be rebuilt. Character is what rebuilds it." Adrian placed the coin in his pocket. He carried it for the rest of his life. Whenever he faced a difficult decision, he touched the coin and remembered what mattered most. Becoming the teacher. Years later, Elias passed away peacefully. Before his final breath, he told Adrian, "The wisdom I gave you was never meant to stay with you. It was meant to be shared." Adrian honored that wish. He became a teacher. Young men and women visited him from many places. Some wanted success. Some wanted confidence. Some wanted peace. Adrian always began with the same lesson. The hidden power of self-control is not about becoming emotionless. It is about refusing to let your emotions become your master. He taught them to pause before reacting, to separate facts from fear, to focus on what they could control, to build discipline one day at a time, to protect their character above everything else. Many lives changed because of those lessons. The final truth. As Adrian grew older, he often returned to the mountain where his journey had begun. He would sit quietly beneath the old tree. He would remember the young man who once believed strength came from defeating others. Now he knew the truth. Real strength begins when you defeat the anger that controls you, the fear that limits you, the pride that blinds you, the excuses that weaken you. The strongest prison is an uncontrolled mind. The greatest freedom is self-mastery. Life will always bring storms. People will criticize you. Plans will fail. Loss will come. But if you learn to govern your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, no storm can steal your peace. That is the hidden power of self-control. That is the heart of Stoicism. And that is the power that can change your life forever.